Hello, young minds of grade 7. Today we are going to see our science first chapter of biology, that is nutrition in plants. Nutrients are the components found in our food such as carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, fats, etc. These components are necessary for living organisms to survive. Plants produce their own food while animals and human beings do not produce their own food. Wheat indirectly or directly depend on plants and animals for food needs. So, in this chapter, we are going to see the modes of nutrition of plants. The process of obtaining food and utilizing it to grow, stay healthy, repair any damaged parts of body is known as nutrition. There are two modes of nutrition in plants. First one is autotrophic mode of nutrition, which states that plants exhibit the autotrophic mode of nutrition and they are called the primary producers. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is observed in both plants and animals, means they depend on the plants for their basic food needs. Now coming to the autotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. Photosynthesis, as we know, is the basic process by which the plants obtain their food. Plants are able to produce their own food through the process called photosynthesis. So this photosynthesis takes place in chloroplast. Food production primarily is carried out in leaves. Water and minerals from soil are absorbed by the root and transported to the leaves through vessels called xylem. Carbon dioxide reaches leaves through stomata, which are small pores on leaves surrounded by guard cells. If we see figure 1.4, we can see the guard cells and the stomata opening and closing. And figure 1.1 shows the chloroplast where photosynthesis process takes place. Chlorophyll is a green pigment present in leaves which helps the leaves capture energy from sunlight to prepare their food. Now this process of food which takes place in the presence of sunlight is known as photosynthesis. During the photosynthesis, water and carbon dioxide are used in the presence of sunlight to produce carbohydrates and oxygen. Carbohydrates is nothing but glucose, simple glucose. Starch is released in the process, which is a carbohydrate. Now if you see the equation here, carbon dioxide from air plus water from soil, on the arrow mark you can see sunlight and chlorophyll, which indicates that in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll it forms glucose and oxygen. Now there are the conditions necessary for photosynthesis, that is sunlight, water, carbon dioxide and chlorophyll. In this process of photosynthesis steps, we can see figure 1.2, absorption of energy from sunlight, conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Now water into oxygen and hydrogen they will separate, that is called hydrolysis, and carbon dioxide is reduced to form glucose by utilization of chemical energy. Now we say that green plants are the food factories of plants. So plant leaves have certain good properties, like they are thin and flat so that they can trap maximum energy. They have proper air spaces between the cells so that they can allow the more carbon dioxide to flow inside them. They have a good network of xylem vessels which help the water to flow through the leaves properly. And stomata, as we said, that it has ability to open up during the daytime, means when the sunlight is present, and it will allow the carbon dioxide to enter the leaf and release the oxygen. Now how do we synthesize nutrients from glucose? If we see that glucose is a simple carbohydrate, so when this simple carbohydrate it accumulates, it forms complex carbohydrates like sucrose and starch. Sucrose is transported to leaves from different parts of the plant through phylum. It is a food vessel, transportation of food materials for immediate use. Starch is stored in different parts of the Proteins are made of simple carbohydrates and nitrogen which is absorbed by the plant, and fats are formed by simple carbohydrates. Now we will see these activities. There are a set of 5 activities which will show that all these conditions are necessary for photosynthesis. In activity 1, it proves that the starch is being prepared in leaves during photosynthesis, and we generally do a simple iodine test. For this test, we take a plant, we pluck the leaf and we wash it properly in water and then boil in ethanol, that is in alcohol, and then again under water. Now after doing this, we can see that the chlorophyll pigment is dissolved in ethanol and the leaf is discolored. Now if we have the iodine solution, if we drop 2 or 3 drops, we can see that the leaf has changed the color into bluish black, which indicates that starch is developed. Now coming to activity 2, to demonstrate the chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. We take a croton plant with variant colors. We can see many plants around us, like for example a money plant which is yellow and green in color. We keep it under sunlight for few hours, pluck a leaf and do the iodine test, and we can see that wherever the green part is there, the leaf has changed the color to blue black color, and the leaf which is yellow in color did not change any color. So this indicates that chlorophyll is very necessary for photosynthesis. Now coming to activity 3, to demonstrate that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. To prove this, what we do is we will take a plant and we will destarch it, means we will completely keep it in shade for 48 hours. Then again we will place a dark strip on both sides of the leaf as shown in the figure, if you see activity 3, and we will clip it. And again we will place the leaf for 2 to 3 hours in sun. Then a similar iodine test will be done, and we can see the portion where the black tape was stick. At that place the portion did not change the color, which means that there was no sunlight available for that portion of the leaf, so it cannot perform any photosynthesis. Now coming to activity 4, to prove that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. What we took here is same process we have to take. We have to take a plant, we have to keep it in dark for 48 hours so that it completely destarches. Then again we have to take a potted plant, and for one leaf we have to place that leaf, half of the leaf, in KOH solution, that is potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide has a feature that it absorbs all the carbon dioxide gas present around it. So we are not allowing the leaf to absorb the carbon dioxide, and we will place it in sun for 4 to 5 hours. Again for that leaf only we will perform the iodine starch test. Then it proves that the portion which was inside the KOH container did not change any color to blue black, which shows that photosynthesis was not done on that portion of the leaf, which shows that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Now we have to see the last activity, which shows that oxygen gas is released during photosynthesis. So underwater green plant will be placed under water in a beaker. An inverted funnel over the plant has its end covered with an inverted test tube filled with water. Now the assembly is shown as shown to you in the figure for few hours. During this time no gas is produced by the plant. The assembly is then exposed to sunlight for another 5 hours. While exposed, the plant produces a gas which was collected in the inverted glass test tube. As you can see that the gas bubbles are moving upwards. After enough gas has produced, the test tube was removed and inverted, and a glowing piece of wood was inserted in the tube. The wood was absorbed and burnt rapidly. Means glowing piece means suppose say we just lit a matchstick there. Okay. So it burnt rapidly. The test tube completely burnt rapidly till the air inside it is used properly. Now we will see the heterotropic mode of nutrition. Some plants do not contain chlorophyll and depend on other plants for their food through the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So these plants are called the heterotrophic plants. So there are four types of heterotrophic plants which we discuss here, that is parasitic plant, saprophytes, symbiotic plants and insectivorous plants. Let us see one by one. Some heterotrophic plants depend on other plants and animals for nutrition. Such plants are known as parasitic plants. There are total parasitic plants and partial parasitic plants also. So they have a root structure called heusteria, which they insert completely into the xylem and phylum vessels, that is water, mineral vessel and food vessel of the plant. If you see the figure 1.6, here we have Cuscuta. It is a total parasite and it is completely occupied the green leaf around it. You can see that it is not green in color. And here we have a partial parasite which is called Mystitoe plant, and it is a partial parasite, means it is only depending on either food or water requirements. Now we can see saprophytic mode of nutrition. In the saprophytic mode of nutrition, the plants they depend on for the nutrition on dead and decaying plants or animals. They dissolve the dead and decaying matter by secreting digestive juices and absorb the nutrients. The examples are mushrooms, we have bread mold, etc. Now coming to activity 6, we can perform it at home. We can take a bread slice and we sprinkle some water over it and keep it aside for few days, and we have to cover it. Then after few days we can see that some sticky substance is formed over it, that is white in color like a cottony substance, that is our mold. Now coming to symbiotic nutrition. Here this is a this means it is a mutual understanding between the two plants or plant and animal. It is a relationship. When two different plants belong to a different category, show a close association, they are termed as a symbiotic. In this, both plants are benefited from each other. Here we have Rhizobium bacteria which lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. It helps the atmospheric nitrogen to be absorbed by the roots of the plant. And in turn, this bacteria can get food from the roots of the leguminous plant. So it is a symbiosis, and lichens which are made up of alga and fungi. Alga provides food to the fungi and fungi provides shelter to alga. Now moving on, last topic, that is insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants have special structural features that help them to trap insects and are commonly known as carnivorous or heterotrophic plants. These plants digest the insect by secreting digestive juices and absorb the nutrients from them. These plants grow on the soil that lack minerals, example mostly nitrogen. So there are the few examples: pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, sundew, etc. So while coming to the difference between autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we understand that autotrophic mode of nutrition occurs in green plants only. Carbon dioxide and water are needed for the synthesis. Chlorophyll and sunlight are essential for synthesizing food. While coming to heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we understand that it occurs only in non-green plants and animals. Heterotrophs derive their food from green plants, or autotrophs directly or indirectly. Chlorophyll is absent and hence no requirement of photosynthesis. So children, we conclude our chapter by this topic. Have a good day.